Alright, good evening everyone. System Jock here with the 42nd episode of the Dancer DLC for Cultist Simulator, playing as Margaret. We have been struggling with our expedition. We finally managed to get through the wood. Good news is that we do seem to have enough cash to carry us through. So we're going to be going up against the Watchers. The hope here would be that Elizabeth can take us through and sort of deceive them. We're also going to need to get past a hidden door, which I've added Cat Caro to begin with, and then we'll add another lantern follower to be able to find the hidden door. But it is worth mentioning that we're down a summon now. So when we go to Tower Revik, I'm either going to need to bring another follower, or I'm going to need to summon one before we're finished with the unnumbered stones. If you see on the table, we also have tentative evidence that came from the notoriety that got picked up. Again, the intention originally was for me to turn in some commissions, but I didn't plan appropriately, so I ran into some difficulty there. And then we do have a restlessness, which is coming up in 1.6 seconds, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to dance it away, so I could make a choice between... I think if I try to paint it away, then I have trouble at the gaiety, and then if I may actually just use it in a ceremony. I guess it depends if the it looks like it's a season of sickness, so we have a few options. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go by. In any case, things could be better as far as the playthrough are concerned, but nothing really fatal. So we will start translating some more books. The World Does Not Weep. Brown Joshua found this in a well in Hamath. There's an unlikely story that it was abandoned by Alexander during his retreat from Issus. So we will use Aramaic to translate it. So I also want to keep going back through the white door. So as far as the restlessness is concerned, if I don't deal with it in a minute, it turns into dread. Now normally we can dance it away or we can paint it away, but it really depends on what I can do in a fixed period of time. In the meantime, Season of Visions is coming up, so I want to avoid any fascination. That shouldn't be difficult. Against the Watchers, a powerful deception. Look closer, closer still, closer. Keep looking, closer. Now close your eyes. I'm going to add a lantern follower just for... Well, as soon as I can find a lantern follower. I just want to get that out of the way in case something else comes up. Alright. The musicians close with a flourish. Some of the audience start as if waking from sleep. Others applaud. One forces his way through the crowd to the exit, face drawn. There's always one. As we skip from the stage, Mr. Ecdysis winks. And here is Sulochana, with her clever hands, to bandage those of us who went too far. So, another bronze Spintrea. And money. So we do get paid. Okay, that's actually something I'm probably going to want to keep in mind. Now, it seems to me that if I try anything with the anything but the Gaiety Club, I'm probably going to have trouble. So, in this case, we'll just have to think about the next step with the restlessness. Although it looks like we generated Mystique off of that, so I suppose I'm going to have to... I guess it's a little bit like fulfilling a commission. Actually, that just means I have Dread, so... Unfortunate, but we'll find a way of dealing with it. Their bewilderment is our opportunity. We'll pass in silent secrecy. Okay, so nothing really to worry about as far as the expedition is concerned now. We'll just let it pass. Alright, I've prepared the text for study. Same text as before, so let's read it. The unknown adept who wrote this proclaims, "The world forgets, but the ivory dove does not." The text contains a number of prescriptions for ensuring that certain acts are remembered, including a rite which requires a sacrifice in a particularly monstrous mode. And then in the white door, I recall my dream. This was the Lodge of Blue Silk, flapping in the winds of the bounds at the Mansus edge, and here was its mistress, who welcomed me as she welcomes all travelers. Company is nice, she confided, but I still miss my Christopher. 10 years. 10 years and not enough. But we could not have been long together, not without touching each other, and you know what occurs when a man long lies with a long woman. Or perhaps you don't. I hope you don't. I won't tell you just in case. I will give you a tiny gift. So the one worry I do have is, so I'm not so worried about the individual dread that's going to come from the restlessness. I am, however, worried about having 2 dread coming from both reading and the restlessness. So what I may want to do is a passion which is a little bit more, a painting which is a little more passion focused, just to try and balance out my moods. We'll see though. Optimism is the spice which saves. Let's get Leo working on our reputation again. Actually, this is premature. The illness has damaged my health. I will need to rest before I'm fully recovered. And tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. So the point here of using the extra health is just to try and get a course of the heart so that I don't need to spend money on medicine for the affliction. It's never guaranteed, but it's always a nice chance. I felt their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. Okay. So, I was talking about painting. Looks like we do have a restlessness coming up. I think I'm going to go back to the gaiety. Stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Now the reason I'm doing this is I want to try and cycle through the timers a little bit, so that when the restlessness comes up, I'm going to be able to paint that without worrying about losing my position. So we'll almost certainly find this hidden door, calling upon the watchman who illuminates. Okay, Forgotten Chronicle. Last night I visited the Lodge of the Sage Knight. My hostess, manifested as an elegant woman with fashionably short hair and dark glasses. No, she admits, I don't need them any more than I need eyes. Allow me my sentimentalities. But you've come from knowledge, I expect. Here's a story I heard in my Carisham days. You are welcome to it. Only remember me if you come to make the pilgrimage. Sorry, I'm stumbling over the words. These are continents, right? No, land beyond the forest. Okay, sorry. So I've got 2 forbidden epics. I can probably get 2 more depending on time. Okay, actually we can get some more expeditions, and given the fact that the Percussigant is the only... Well, yeah, we may take a pause on the expeditions depending on where we're at after the unnumbered stones. The Hours tried to bury the memory of what happened to the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the 7 coiled, but the dove won't permit it. Nor will he permit what happened to the first egg to be forgotten, although it is perhaps the one thing that the watchman might ever forgive. So, looks like we didn't get dread off of that. That's good. Invocation of the Ivory Dove. There's a power that commemorates and grieves, from whom nothing is taken, but who cannot be deceived. You might expect to be able to crush him in your hand into bird bone fragments. Alright, so we've got Rite of the Beast Division. This is a new one for us. The assistant's name is taken from them in a place or on an occasion of power, and they are divided into 9 parts. They used to be hunted like an animal too, but times changed. Oops. There we go. Alright, on to our next work. The Irreproachable Traditions of the Society of the Noble Endeavor, in Latin. Actually, the other alternative is I can use my health for a vitality. I'm gonna roll the dice. Lock the study door, the work begins. We'll also go to the white door, so we need health for that. The standards of daylight society cannot apply to us, but perhaps we won't emphasize that point. Well, perhaps we'll rely on charm and good humor. I have supplied elegant platitudes about the high principles of our organization. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. So we'll add the passion. I am more than a listen package of flesh and blood. If something happens in 5.5 seconds that lets me use the restlessness, I'll switch it out, but I don't think it will. And the world as it is. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane if that means anything. And Season of Vision's coming up again, so I don't need to worry about the dread for now. So you can sort of see the varying degrees, if it's not clear, you can sort of see the varying degrees of urgency that I feel in terms of certain threats. So as far as the dread is concerned, in 100 seconds, that's going to be gone. So for instance, half of that time is going to be spent. So I'll give you an example here. One of the reasons why I'm not worried about the dread at this point is that half of that time is going to be spent moving into the Season of Visions. And then 60 seconds after that is when I have the potential of generating a Season of Despair. Well, in 110 seconds, this thing's going to be gone, so I can afford to ignore it. Now, in contrast, the Affliction is going to be something that turns into Decrepitude in 111 seconds. Now, that may raise the question, so why are you not using your study verb, for instance, to generate a Vitality? I mean, I actually think if I were to use if I were to generate the Vitality right now, I would be too late. But I always have the outside option of using money to cure the Affliction. So in this case here, I figure, well, you know, maybe here's the way of thinking of this trade-off. How much money do I have right now? Well, at the bottom it says 53. That's admittedly some money is sort of tied up in various things that are gonna take it away from me. But let's say 53 just for the sake of the argument. Now, a 53rd of my wealth to get healthy? Sure, that's not really that big of a problem. What about the study verb? Well, I've got 5 more texts that I can translate and research, and of course that's going to get me lore, and that's going to help me advance inside of the game. So if anything, I'd like to have access to another study verb. So we can say, okay, well, I can tie up the study verb for a minute, generating a Vitality, and then I won't need to spend money on the medicine. But of course that means I'm not necessarily going to be reading the books that I want. And so the other way of phrasing that problem, this is generally how I try and make decisions in games like Cultist Simulator, essentially anything that's sort of a management style game or one in which you're resource constrained. And of course that's most games. One thing that's very helpful in terms of making these decisions, in my opinion, is sometimes rephrasing the question in terms of saying, if you were to get a card that said you'll get a one-time use study verb to be able to read a work, but you need to spend 1 funds to get it, would you take it? Well, you know, based on what I said before, we have a lot of books that we want to get through, and I have quite a bit of money. Yeah, I'd be willing to take that. Now, if it was my last funds, if it was the difference between, you know, getting sick from not being able to pay rent, I may change my mind on that. But in my current circumstances, I would say, okay, well, you know, in this case, as the basis trade-off, if I had absolutely no certainty that I would be generating Vitality, this is a deal I would have taken, and so as a result, I should be willing to spend money to cure the Affliction. Of course, we have the potential for Course of the Heart from, I think at minimum, the work and dream slots, although I also think we have the potential from talk and the expedition. I'm not 100% sure if... No, I'm pretty sure this still triggers even if it doesn't actually pick up anything, so... Or has the potential to trigger even if it doesn't pull up anything, so... That's my justification, at least. Alright, I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer, a little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So I do need to wait a little bit just because I don't have anything I can use in the Gaiety Theater. I can, of course, paint, but I don't need the contentment anymore to get rid of the dread. So we will use our health. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. So again, don't have much of a use for the talk verb right now, so we're just going to go back to the Wildwood Club and, or use the Wildwood Club with Leo to help our reputation. Oops, sorry, I didn't read that text. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. Well, that was inconvenient. Last night, in the billowing blue of the Lodge of the Sage Knight, I sat on velvet cushions and watched two dead contend with shining swords. They came with the place, said the woman who rules here now, the one who once called herself Gallagher. I was not the Sage Knight, if that's what you're wondering. He went higher in the mansis, long before I came here. My attention has drifted. The swords sparkle like falling water. The dead move like dancers. So we may be able to deal with this, but I also need to think about it in relation to my sickness. Okay, so we've prepared the text for study. I gotta be careful. I'm definitely going to put this beside. I'm no further along my path of change. In the movements of the secret forms, I must find my lesson. Okay, so here's the game plan, because this is going to get a little, this is definitely going to get a little scary as far as timings. So, this health has 69 seconds to, before it turns into decrepitude, but I have a Season of Visions that's going to appear in 9.2 seconds. So one of the things that I can do to get rid of the fascination would be to use either the Fleeting Reminiscence or the Dread. In this case, I'll use the Dread just because, I don't know, it feels nice and fun to do. So that's going to take a minute. That means I have 9 seconds to use either a Vitality or a Funds. Almost certainly it will be Funds. To clear out the affliction. Now, if I get careless, then it turns into decrepitude and I'm sad. But that's one of the reasons why I'm putting this beside the dream slot, is to help avoid that. Okay, moving on. The irreproachable traditions of the Society of the Noble Endeavor. The members of the Society of Noble Endeavor adopted noble names as at their initiation. Parsifal, Roland, Oisin. They drew their inspiration from the Leashed Flame, which gave the island of Britain such appalling power in some histories. One Samuel Partridge has chronicled their efforts. Their endeavor was no less noble, a furious arcane conflagration which would refine them into something more than human, but such transformations are rare, and they often ended less nobly in ashes. Okay, another Season of Ambitions, but at that point we should see some progress in terms of the sending. Alright, so I want to get rid of the restlessness. In this case, let's work with our the painting. Now this is a trickier one actually, because I don't have any reputation to work with right now. I can wait 9 seconds. I think I will actually wait the 9 seconds. This will probably generate a bunch of mystique, which is not so good, but... Okay. Got a little carried away there. Alright, you never know, this might be a living. So we will take Restlessness as our inspiration. Moth finds light in the dark, and so do I, so that should generate a glimmering. And again, very unlikely that we're going to get a vitality out of this, so the expectation is that I will be paying for the medicine. Beneath the stone, the moonlight bleaches the grass to winter. All around, the stones loom. Here, in the tumulus side beneath the turf, is a stone that will rise like a trap door. We must put our backs into it. The chamber inside the tumulus has half collapsed with the years. Fat white spiders crawl from the touch of our lamplight, insolently slow. The stone reliefs are cracked and dripping, but here is the offering hole, still with its treasures. I don't think I'm going to pay for better paints. In this case, I'll just let it run by. I guess to answer my previous question as far as quality, I could spend money on better paints. I suppose this already suggests that you can buy commercially available paints. I should have maybe thought about that a couple episodes ago when I was thinking about whether or not it would be weird to be using your own pigments. Partridge claims to have identified consistent features among those who ascended. All of them had passed the stag door and were accounted no. All of them spoke the Khalidate invocation, or a greater rite, at the start of their ascension, and all of them were rich. The air is curdled now. I am home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. Okay, so in this case we'll spend money to heal up. The medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect I am being poisoned. And the serenity of the Black Wood, an allegorical history of the House of Leith, who it is here implied were inspired by the centipede. Serrano Blackwood is an occult alias to this day. At the study door, the work begins. So it's still too early with Leo and the speeches. Still, part of this is also just trying to trigger the course of the heart. Time the sundial's shadow passes. I must have funds to live, or I will become ill. I thought I had my sending too. Steps surrendered. Kitling Ripe was born in the black flax at the river's edge. She will bring me the answer, which is always no, and when my cat self dances for her, she will eat the sound of my steps. Okay, so it was. Looks like we got another copy of the Magus von Brandt's authentic and unique account of the true tongue of the true holy land of the Highmost. Another Lethe. So a dark and syrupy liquor favored in unnamed forest villages. The tongue and the eye, and now we begin. Forget your name, forget your skin. More rose pearl dust, and a collection of followers. So under normal circumstances, I would probably want to just follow up on Tower Revok. I never did wind up getting another summon. That's actually probably just due to carelessness more than anything, but I think probably at this point, step surrendered, I walked the black flax at the river's edge, and it tasted my feet with its 100 tongues until I could withstand the touch of it no longer, and then I was only shadow. Okay. I think I'm going to go to Tower Revok. The blasted stump of a building. The air festers. Whatever power destroyed this place still clings. Only one floor remains above ground, but we suspect more space below. So we'll add a couple funds. Now this will also give us some insight in terms of what we're up against. So we'll have to search assiduously to find whatever treasures might remain. And if the tower was truly destroyed in a battle between adepts, dangerous influences may still cling to it. So we're going to start by adding a lantern follower because we're likely going to need them. But I am going to want to keep a careful eye on what the expedition requires. The consequence of the expedition should be resolved in the... there we go, yeah. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So 3 funds is definitely not something to complain about. Of course, we've also got a world of glimmering as a consequence, and more mystique than I would personally care for, but that's also going to happen as a result of the... That's going to happen as a result of the commission, so it might, at this point, it may be a good idea. We'll let Leo do his thing, but I think at this point we'll just turn in the commissions and maybe not hope for the best, but just see what happens. Right, the stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Should also probably be dancing again, but we'll get there. So the next step is really about getting some extra expeditions, but I figured we might as well make the most of what we have, and then depending on how our dreams go, I can summon an extra follower. Whether it's another hint or whether we summon something different, that's another matter. But our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So we've got the hidden door, and we have the creeping breath curse, heart or grail. So we've already got heart from the precussagant. In this case, I'm going to add lantern follower, Pope Clifton. That's for the door, and then we'll add heart afterwards. But either way, we know we're gonna get through. Multiwarp's oldest lesson: between music, silence. I have grown as dark as I ever will. Shadows are my company, and my footfall is a whisper. I wear a ring set with jet, but I keep the stone turned inwards, in my palm invisible. Alright. The proverbial footloose gathers travelers in a wood and leads them through, but abandons them part way. They find themselves beset by glorious monsters. And the sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. So in this case, let's go back to the white door. And with luck, we'll get some knock influence, but there's some other influences that can help us as well. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Alright, another season of sickness, so probably just as well I added that extra heart. And we got Course of the Heart. Excellent. We'll almost certainly find this warded door, or hidden door, apologies. Warded door would require a knock follower, or forge. Alright, let's start by adding Clovette. I felt other eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my taste, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. Okay, so knowing that... I'm not going to try and summon something yet. I am slightly inclined towards doing a performance at the Ecdysis Club. The air is wreathed with smoke. My companions on the stage are fluttering shivers of flesh and velvet. Mr. Ecdysis' drums pound. We begin. So the season of sickness will be inconvenient, just because it means I have to tie up the dream slot. But in this case, this is one of the better times to get hit by that. Optimism is a spice which saves. So, because we're basically going to transition towards a more high mystique approach for this particular notoriety, I'm not going to worry about letting Leo kind of grind through all of them. Instead, we're just going to turn in all of our commissions. Again, this is partly driven by the fact that the tentative evidence is almost expired, and we don't seem to have a season of suspicion coming up. We could still technically get hit by it, but the likelihood is starting to shrink. So in this case, I'm going to talk to... not Poppy. We're not that desperate yet. Count Jannings. I think he wanted heart. I have what was requested. So again, this will generate a lot of mystique as well as some Spintrea for us. My own heart pumps more strongly today. Fate lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. Okay, so that's Janning's job done. We'll talk with Dr. Redeem. He wanted the secret histories. I have what the doctor requested. Received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So that was a bronze spintrea for us alongside... I think that was our addition? Yeah. I think I'll just let that all pile up and we'll figure it out later. Finally, we have Madame Bichet and the Forge Commission. Oh, I could not have asked for a better outcome. Last night in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who called herself Teresa Gallagher sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansus, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. So, I think that's a good place to end it. We will get the text from the Serenity of the Black Wood. The travelers discover they can survive if they close their eyes. They adopt a closed eye as their sign, and they can go unnoticed if they drink from the clear, cold streams. They never forget that proverbial footloose, the centipede, but they never forgive her either. So, fascination for our trouble. And the Centipede Testament, which is a move up. So the centipede came up out from the sands and went in under the roots. She found a new home, but now she can't go home. She creeps in everywhere else, keyholes and histories, and the channels of birth and sight and hearing. Here's what she has to say. All right, so I'm not too worried about the expedition. We know we're going to get the contents, although we may be hit by the curse, which is certainly the bigger worry. We've got our dream slot open up. So in this case, we will eventually have to deal with sickness, but we're going to wait for that to come up over the course of time. We've got plenty of time to handle the contract of the Gaiety, and we're starting to work. Actually, hang on. I may actually have to let this work down a little bit. I think I might be short of what I need for the Gaiety now that I think of it. But that's fine. I will be able to make at least some use from the subtle fracture. I may just not be able to summon exactly what I wanted to. We'll figure it out. But yes, we're on a slightly different footing, but definitely in a better place than kind of the last episode where we seem to keep getting trapped in the woods. And of course, we've advanced our change ambition, so we are now change and Tumbra. Sorry, I was just trying to think if there was another detail that I wanted to cover, but I think I can do that in the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. If you've been enjoying the series and have not yet done so, please hit the subscribe button down below, and you can also hit the notification bell beside it if you would like to be notified for when future episodes become available. If you like this episode, please do leave a like. They do help the videos get noticed, as do comments, but of course I also enjoy just hearing from you all. So again, I'm sorry to keep asking for that, because there are some of you who comment regularly, but it is also worth saying that I also like seeing those comments regularly. So please don't ever feel obligated, but they are ones that I enjoy, and talking about them is one of those things that you do on YouTube. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in the next one.